It had been 2 years since the fires of Yavin consumed the rebel base, and nearly every hope of freedom with it. 2 years since the galaxy had watched, trembling, as the indestructible weapon of the Empire revealed its true power. And in those 2 years, Princess Leia Organa had done everything in her power to rebuild. She travelled from system to system, pleading with senators, speaking with planetary rulers, rallying the dispossessed and the broken. But each time, the same answer was given in hushed tones. We cannot risk Yavin's fate. The mere threat of the Death Star was enough to silence entire worlds, and Thrawn knew it. He didn't need to fire the weapon again. He didn't need to reduce another world to ashes. The shadow of Yavin alone kept planets obedient, submissive, and afraid. This was the brilliance of his rule. Fear, not through chaos, but through control. The galaxy had become a chessboard, and every piece moved exactly where Grand Admiral Thrawn willed it. At first, Thrawn's ascension had caused friction. Tarkin had sneered at the notion that an alien, a Chiss outsider, could ever rival him in the Emperor's favour. But Palpatine was not blind. He saw in Thrawn a precision, a vision of order that even Tarkin lacked. And so, after months of bickering, Palpatine ended it. Tarkin was reassigned to oversee another of the Emperor's classified projects. Thrawn was left to command the Death Star, and increasingly, the Empire itself. From his command throne aboard the station, Thrawn shaped the galaxy. Food supplies were rerouted to systems on the brink of famine. Piracy along the mid-rim was brutally stamped out. Trade lanes ran efficiently, and for the common citizen, life under Thrawn's order was not only tolerable, it was better than the chaos of the Clone Wars or the cruelty of Tarkin's rule. But beneath the veneer of stability, whispers spread among Imperial officers. High-ranking admirals and governors disappeared after meetings with Thrawn. No one knew their fate, and none dared question it. In truth, these officers were not executed. Like his old friend Eli Vanto, they were sent, secretly and quietly, into the service of the Chiss ascendancy. Thrawn's loyalty was never to the Emperor. It was to his people in the unknown regions. The Empire was his shield, his tool to ensure that no power in the galaxy could threaten the Ascendancy's survival, and for that, he would play the Emperor's game. Far away from the shadow of the Death Star, another figure was being shaped by time. Luke Skywalker had vanished from the galaxy's sight after Yavin. The rebellion believed he had gone underground to avoid Imperial reprisal. In truth, he had travelled to the swamps of Dagobah. There, hidden within the Darkside Nexus that masked all presence from Palpatine and Vader alike, Luke trained under the ancient Grand Master Yoda. For 2 years, Yoda pressed him to the breaking point. Lightsaber drills until his muscles screamed. Meditation until days blurred together. Lessons in patience, humility and restraint. Lessons Luke struggled with. Reckless, the boy is, Yoda often muttered to himself. Like his father. Too much like his father. But with every season, Luke grew stronger. He lifted stones, then trees, then his own starfighter. He faced visions in the dark cave and fought phantoms of his fear. And by the second year, Luke Skywalker was no longer a farm boy with dreams of adventure. He had become a warrior of the Force, his skills rivaling Jedi Knights of the Clone Wars. Yet his heart ached. While he trained, the galaxy suffered. While he meditated, systems fell deeper into Thrawn's iron grip. So when news reached him that the rebellion had been discovered on Hoth, Luke ignored Yoda's warnings. He would not sit idle any longer. The truth was far darker. Thrawn had known about the rebellion's Hoth base for months. His spies, his network, his precise analysis of supply routes, all had pointed to it. But Thrawn was patient. The rebellion was not the true prey. Luke Skywalker was. And so he set the bait. He leaked the information to a single man, Agent Kallus, a loyal Imperial officer to all appearances, but one Thrawn had correctly deduced as a rebel informant. Thrawn knew Kallus would pass it along. He wanted him to. When word reached the rebellion, they panicked, sending word to Luke that their position was compromised, exactly as Thrawn had foreseen. What Thrawn did not foresee was the ship. Luke had been gifted a specialised craft by the Mon Calamari shipwright quarry, a vessel with a stealth field capable of slipping past blockades undetected. And so, while Thrawn's fleet and the looming Death Star waited above Hoth, scanning every starship, Luke passed through unseen. On the icy plains of Hoth, Luke reunited with Leia, Han and Chewbacca. Together, they devised a desperate plan. The Death Star could not be destroyed from the outside. They knew that now. They shielded the exhaust port, the impenetrable armour. Thrawn had accounted for every flaw. If they were to destroy it, they would need to cripple it from within. Their team was small but formidable. Luke Skywalker, Jedi apprentice, carrying the hopes of the galaxy. Leia Organa, leader of the shattered rebellion, sharp and unyielding. Han Solo and Chewbacca, smuggler and warrior, inseparable in their loyalty. Ahsoka Tano, once Anakin Skywalker's Padawan, now one of the few surviving Jedi. Captain Rex, veteran of the Clone Wars, whose loyalty had never wavered. R2-D2, their indispensable astromech. They would use Luke's stealth ship to slip aboard through a supposed weakness in the Death Star's defences, a shield fluctuation near the exhaust port. From there, they would head to the hyperdrive systems. If they could disable them, the station would become a stranded fortress, vulnerable to eventual destruction. Meanwhile, the rebellion would launch a diversion, a desperate frontal assault to occupy the Imperial fleet. It was reckless, risky, nearly impossible, but it was all they had. The plan began exactly as Ahsoka had predicted. Rebel ships surged forward, exposing themselves to draw the Imperial lines in. But on the command deck of the Death Star, Thrawn watched the tactics unfold with a faint narrowing of his eyes. He recognised them. These were Clone Wars manoeuvres. These were her manoeuvres. Ahsoka Tano's. His unease deepened. 2 Jedi, the boy he suspected to be Skywalker's son, and the apprentice who he had once fought alongside Anakin Skywalker. Jedi were variables Thrawn could not calculate with certainty, so he summoned Vader. The Dark Lord of the Sith emerged from his meditation chamber, silent and towering. Thrawn explained the rebels would attempt to board the station. It was the only rational explanation for such an attack, and if Ahsoka Tano was with them, then it was all but guaranteed. Vader returned to his chamber, plunging into the dark side, reaching through the Force to sense her presence. But Thrawn did not rely on mysticism. He relied on strategy. The faulty shield near the exhaust port was no accident. He had planted that rumour himself, leaking it with surgical precision. And now, as he had calculated, the rebels flew directly into the trap. The infiltration team slipped through the shield, undetected. For a moment, hope sparked. Then, the blast doors sealed behind them, and the shadows moved. Blaster fire erupted. Stormtroopers poured from the corridors, cutting off every exit. Red-bladed lightsabers hissed to life as 4 Inquisitors stepped forward. And in the centre of it all, standing with his hands calmly behind his back, was Grand Admiral Thrawn. The rebels froze. They had been played from the very beginning. The chamber erupted into chaos. Ahsoka and Rex charged toward the towering figure of Darth Vader. The duel was immediate and brutal. Rex's blaster fire was swatted aside like raindrops. Ahsoka danced with speed and precision, her twin blades flashing against Vader's crimson. But he was relentless. Every strike forced them back. Every moment revealed the truth. He was toying with them. Han and Chewbacca ducked behind cover, unleashing a barrage against Thrawn's guard. They fought with grit, with desperation, and slowly, piece by piece, they cut the squad down. Luke Skywalker ignited his saber against the Inquisitors. 4 against 1. Their red blades struck from every angle, but R2 whirred, releasing a thick smokescreen into the chamber. The Inquisitors faltered, blinded, but Luke had trained for this. On Dagobah, sight had been stripped from him daily. Now, he fought by instinct, by the Force alone. R2-D2 sliced into the terminal and set alarms off all throughout the station. Troopers would react to each alarm. There would be no reinforcement coming. In the darkness, screams echoed. One by one, the Inquisitors fell, until Luke stood alone among their bodies, his chest heaving, but his resolve unshaken. When the smoke cleared, Luke strode forward, blade in hand, and faced Thrawn directly. Thrawn, unarmed, did not move. Instead, he spoke. "You fight for a galaxy you do not understand, young Skywalker. You seek to destroy this station, yet it is the very thing maintaining order. Without it, chaos will consume the stars. Join me. Together, we can build a galaxy of stability, of peace, a galaxy where no child suffers the fate your father did." Luke's grip tightened. He was done listening to Imperial lies. But then, Thrawn stopped moving. His eyes studied Luke with a quiet, predatory focus, as though the duel, the chaos, even Vader himself, were secondary to the truth he was about to unleash. "Skywalker," he said softly, almost reverently, Your name alone betrays the lie you've been living. Luke's guard faltered for half a second, his brows knitting. What do you mean? Thrawn allowed himself the faintest smile, his voice low and calm, carried through the chamber like a death knell. You stand here, blinded by loyalty to a cause that cannot win, never once questioning the shadow that hovers over you. Tell me, why do you think the Empire hunts you with such obsession? Why do you think Lord Vader himself stalks your every step? Luke's chest tightened, his breath quickening. Because I'm a Jedi, he snapped. But there was hesitation in his voice. Thrawn's eyes narrowed, and with razor precision, he cut the silence. No, because you are his son. The words detonated in Luke's mind like an explosion. His blade trembled. His heart slammed against his ribs. For a heartbeat, he couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And then, from across the chamber, the jewel itself seemed to collapse. Vader froze, his crimson blade locked with Ahsoka's, but motionless. The sound of his mechanical breathing thundered in the sudden quiet. Luke turned, every instinct screaming for denial. But what he found was worse than any nightmare. The black mask turned toward him, deliberate, heavy with inevitability. Vader's voice carried no menace now, only a weight that crushed the boy's soul. It is true, Luke. I am your father. The words struck like lightning, cleaving through everything Luke thought he knew. His knees nearly buckled. His grip on the saber faltered. He shook his head in disbelief, in horror, but deep inside, the Force whispered confirmation. No, Luke's voice cracked, raw with desperation. No, that's impossible. But the mask said nothing more. The silence, the steady hiss of mechanical breath, was answer enough. Vader had never intended for this to be revealed this way. Certainly not by Thrawn's cruel hand. Rage boiled beneath the vocoder, every exhale a snare. Yet the truth, once spoken, could not be taken back. And in that terrible moment, the battle shifted, not in blades, but in hearts. Luke's resolve crumbled. Ahsoka's eyes widened in horror. Rex, struck silent, felt the galaxy tilt off its axis. Thrawn merely folded his hands behind his back, watching as if the revelation itself were his greatest victory. Thanks for watching this What If theory with me. Let me know in the comments below if you would like a part 3, or if you have any ideas of your own that you would like to share.